Hi.
Hi, Dr. Peddie.
Thanks for coming. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on Khronos and a little bit of the impact that Khronos has had in the industry. And I've been advised that I have to talk fast because somebody has to leave. And also, as soon as I shut up, coffee comes for us, for Neil and I, so we get to talk, drink coffee. So the issue is really all about standards, and Khronos is the standards industry for well, computers and mobile phones and so forth. And standards are what actually made it possible for the Industrial Revolution. It started in England back in the 1800s, around 1820, I think, something like that, when we standardized what the screw would be like. And I know that sounds silly, but it had to be done at some point. And so it was, we said it's going to be a certain diameter, it's going to have a certain pitch of thread, it's going to be a certain length and so forth. And that standardization allowed screws to be made anywhere in England at the time. And that made it possible for the Industrial Revolution to really get started. We had almost the exact same thing happen in the mobile phone industry. Now, either you get standards right or you don't. And this is an example of getting it wrong, you're trying to do something. That's an example of stupidity. And this is an example of serious standards mismatch. So getting standards right is really, really critical in all industries, not just the computer industry. So obviously the answer is we have to have standards. So Khronos, excuse me, recognized this problem early being like 12 years ago, and came up with the idea that the industry should have a standard. Now the name Khronos comes from the Greek god Khronos, who was considered to be a bull, a lion, and a man, but most of all, he was the keeper of time and the manager of time.
John,
Well,
you
this
should
isn't
use
working?
this.
Yeah.
Yours is not working.
Okay, it's making noise.
I'm just not talking close enough. Oh,
Test. Is that any better?
yeah.
Anyway, so Khronos is the father of time, and time is the challenge. It's never going to be on our side. We're never going to have enough time to do all the things that we want. Time to market is the critical thing in the computer industry and many other industries too, for that matter. And the problem with time to market pressure is that it's tempting to take a shortcut. And the shortcut is to build a proprietary system, which gets us back to the beginning of the concept of standardization. So if you build proprietary systems, that means other people can't easily replicate them. But the other problem with proprietary systems is that in rushing to get something done, you create problems for yourself in the future. First of all, you have to carry all of that special proprietariness with you as you go forward in new versions, and you have cut yourself off from any cooperation or any kind of an ecosystem to make your product bigger and better. So proprietary systems really are not your friend, and the industry has learned this quite some time ago. Probably, I think, when we got involved with Unix is when we started to realize that proprietary systems were not our friend and that we could do better with open systems. So the beginning concept for Khronos was that we would look at media, and in particular we would try to find a way that we could share media across multiple platforms. And to do that, we had to have a language that would allow you to write applications for different types of media, for different types of platforms. And so we came up with the idea of OpenML, Open Media Language. The problem was that it was really, really hard, and it didn't get done, quite frankly, because it was so hard. But what did get done was the development of OpenGL. Now, OpenGL ES came about because my slides are all mixed up. Yeah, okay, I guess that's okay. So OpenGL ES came about when the group of Khronos developers first got together and realized that the mobile phone market was just about to take off, and that if it was going to take off, we had to have some type of an API that we can rely on. And so they looked at OpenGL, the big OpenGL, which had been developed in the early 80s by SGI, and extracted from it the best parts and only. Why is everybody smiling? Does this say something funny in Chinese? Makes me nervous when you're sitting there laughing at me. I'm being very serious here. So anyway, so they extracted the critical parts from OpenGL so that they could get it to fit on a mobile device, because mobile devices had limited processing power and limited memory at the time. And they did all that in 2002, and they did it, as I said, because they recognized that the mobile phone market was just about to take off. Now, the difficulty was recognized at the time is that if you built your application for a particular platform, and there were 4 different platforms out there, you either had to have 4 groups building the same application, one for each platform, or you had to do them one at a time. Well, most companies couldn't afford 4 groups, so they would do them one at a time. The net result being that by the time they got the 3rd one done, the other machines were already obsolete, and so they missed their market opportunity. So having an API that would go across all those platforms meant that you could write once and deploy anywhere. And that was a breakthrough in the mobile phone industry, and it helped make the mobile phone industry move on. I have to read this because I don't know what these are. All right, so OpenGL ES was extremely successful, and I'll show you some proof points of that in a minute. But it also proved that Khronos had the right structure, the right organization for delivering APIs to the industry. And the proof of that is that Khronos was asked to develop more APIs. And now there's all these APIs and even more, as Neil has pointed out. Now, you don't get to do this if you're doing it wrong. So this is showing you that the Khronos organization has got the right formula for getting APIs into the industry. And further proof is that we have Google adopting them, as Neil mentioned. You know, it's hard work. They can't move quite as fast as we would like them to, but nonetheless, they're on that track, and they are adopting these APIs, but they're not the only OS company in the world doing it. Everyone, 100% of the OS developers are adopting Khronos APIs. And OpenGL ES was the one that opened the door, so to speak, to let all these other APIs come in. So here's the proof point about the success of it. If you look here, you see in 2006, that's the number of mobile phones that were shipping, and that's the number of them that had OpenGL ES in it. And it didn't take long for OpenGL ES to get fully equipped to where in 2013 we'll be so close to 100% penetration in mobile phones that it won't even be a discussion anymore. And what I'd like to point out is that the mobile phone market's got tremendous growth, 16% still, and 16% at big numbers. But the penetration of OpenGL is very low, and that proves that we're almost there. We don't need to have high growth on the penetration of OpenGL because it's almost there. And even further proof, as if you needed any, is the introduction of tablets. When tablets were introduced, they started with OpenGL. And so every tablet that's being introduced today has OpenGL ES in it, 100% penetration from day one. Now, that tells you that there's got to be something right going on here, or this just couldn't happen. So why are these APIs so good? Why are they so acceptable? Well, and this is the key point about Khronos. The APIs are developed by people from all over the world, from all types of companies, coming together. They come together in rooms like this, they get together, they discuss the APIs, they discuss the technical merits of it, and they beat each other up and make sure that nobody gets their special little thing in there, but at the same time gets their thing incorporated so that you write once and it goes across all platforms. The second thing that they do is they make these APIs the most efficient interfaces that you could possibly get. The net result of that is that they have a very, very small memory footprint. They're very efficient in power utilization. And the third thing is, and maybe best of all, they're free. And that's a magic thing about Khronos, is that they're free. There's no royalty, there's no IP license, there's nothing. They're here to use. But Khronos is moving on. They have been very successful, and they have addressed a new problem. I hope this is the right slide coming up. No, it's not. See? All right, well, I'll just have to talk around this. I'm sorry about these slides. In any case, what this is pointing out is that these are some of the features. I don't know if you can read this stuff, but here's all the radios, here's all the sensors, the IOs, the processors, the displays, the screens, and so forth. All that stuff is in a mobile phone. It's an amazing collection of functions and features. And the only way you're going to get those things to work together in an application is if you have the right APIs. But wait, there's more. So history is repeating itself in that Khronos is anticipating what the industry's needs and problems will be. And one of those needs is that we do have exploding markets, with the tablet market, with the mobile phone market. PC market is still growing. There are other markets, TV and so forth, and these things are taking off. And they're taking off faster than we can get engineers to write applications and software drivers for these expanding markets. If we can't get the engineers to develop the applications, the markets will stifle. They'll flatten out, they'll stop growing. Nobody wants to see that. So Khronos has developed a program called KITE, and Eric is going to speak to you a few moments about that. And we're having a little fun with the word KITE. KITE stands for the Khronos Institute of Teaching,
Training and education.
Training and Education. One day I'm going to learn that. No, I've been trying to remember this for 4 days. But I think it should stand for Khronos Institute of Technical Excellence, because that's what's going to happen. When KITE gets established and people graduate from KITE, they will graduate with a technical excellence, the best practices, they'll understand the best APIs, and the market will continue to grow. And that's what we're really here to do. And that should be my last slide. Yes, it is. Well, not quite. So the last slide is just to say that Khronos is an international organization. You need to join it if you haven't already. And you have no choice. Resistance is futile. So Eric's now going to come up and tell us about KITE. And come on, Eric, don't be shy. These are your friends here, Eric, come on. And you're on a time schedule because he has to catch a train.
Thank you, John.